Right, in business, let's talk about Transnet. Transnet announcing results last week that seem to show a better turn of fortune for the South African rail and logistical giant. It reported a profit of 5 billion rand for the year that ended in March. That was up from a loss of 8 billion rand the previous year. Now, Transnet has been struggling to deal with rising incidents of cable theft and vandalism. It was also hard hit by that IT security breach that negatively impacted ports. Corruption and mismanagement means that for years South Africa's rail network has declined and has been underused, with many companies choosing to use the more costly road transport. Well, the African Rail Industry Association is weighing in. It says even though those results looked better, they cannot hide the fact that the South African rail industry is in trouble. All of the major private rail operations in South Africa are members of this association, ARIA. We're joined by the CEO Mesela Nhlapo. Mr. Nhlapo, thank you for being with us as always. Why aren't you that awed by Transnet announcing what seems to be a substantial profit?
Good evening to the viewers. From the numbers, I mean, if you have an 8.4 billion loss this year, and then the next year you have a 5 billion profit, you know, it sort of like raises questions, although we're excited for them. And then once we started digging into the financial results, we realized that where the profit that was declared came from, and if the revaluation of the assets, including the infrastructure itself, would have then meant that Transnet should have declared a 5 billion loss rather than a 5 billion being profit, if that accounting adjustments were to be removed.
All right, so that is a very different picture if there wasn't the revaluation of the property portfolio, for example. 5 billion rand loss is better than 8 billion rand loss. Are you seeing any signs of progress?
I feel a sympathy to the current leadership, particularly the group CEO. I think most of the divisions have systemic problems. But where we are concerned, where with freight, it's the lifeblood of the economy. It's we need to make sure that it works. We need to make sure that what the president had pronounced on is implemented. So Transnet should work. Transnet Freight Rail is our biggest concern. You look at the maintenance backlog, we think in terms of our calculations, we think that there is a backlog maintenance of just under 27 billion rands. Now, that is not starting today going forward, that is backwards. And in order for us to increase the volumes on our rails, we need to fix the infrastructure today.
Yeah, and you're concerned that there's not much cash either. I like that you're doing many comparisons. So you're saying there's a huge maintenance backlog. Meanwhile, the salary bill has gone up. It sounds like we're sitting in a situation akin to Eskom, where maintenance hasn't been done for years, and then you need money to do the maintenance, and maybe a restructure is involved. But this doesn't affect everybody's lives. Do you think we need a real focus like there has been on Eskom?
Rail is different. I mean, with the different subdivisions of Transnet. If one were to look at freight rail, of which we are interested in, what could be done there is cash-strapped, is Exaro complaining, is the industry benefiting in any way, is it Eskom 2.0? I think the answers are in the financial statements, that there's a backlog of maintenance. There's an increase of salaries, but there's a decrease of volumes. So the revenues, if the revenues are falling, the maintenance is on the lower side. The only increase that we see in terms of our analysis is on the salary side. And I think that it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And this decrease, the decrease on salaries, it's on the back that there has been 3,000 less employees for Transnet. So the salary bill, like the previous Minister of Finance used to note, that the salary bill for public sector is a major problem.
This also sounds like a major problem. You say that hundreds of trains are waiting to be fixed. At the same time, Transnet wants to spend 44 billion rand on new trains. I mean, that sounds completely irrational to buy new trains rather than fix the old ones. Is Transnet pushing ahead with that?
Look, they have pronounced on that, but I think that they may re-look at what resources are available. The resources that are available, can we use those to secure new locomotives, or we use the resources to fix the locomotives, then we can get them into service much more quicker. So to fix a locomotive, maybe it may take 3 to 6 months, but to buy a new locomotive, it will take you at least minimum 24 months. So if you're going to wait for a locomotive that is going to be available to Transnet for after 24 months, then fixing what we have, and COVID has taught us a simple rule: use what you have. Do more with little.
All right, I think you've successfully outlined the problems here. What about the plans that we've discussed before in April to open up sections of the rail network to private players? You said that the terms weren't that favourable to encourage investment. What is happening there? Are there signs of traction by getting private players involved?
Look, there was the notice that the third-party access on the 1st of April. On the 8th of April, there was an information sharing session. And what was interesting was that the terms and conditions that, for instance, belonging to a Transnet bargaining council would be a requirement for you to participate in the tender. It was rather unfortunate. And it points to that salary increase that we discussed earlier, that the salaries may be above average for the railway sector. So if Transnet's salary bill is that high and you make it a requirement to participate in third-party access, it tells a lot. The 2-year contract was a problem. It takes 2 years to manufacture a locomotive. The food storage part, this is where it gets interesting. If the infrastructure is revalued and it's the 6.6 billion on the table, then there was the maintenance. If you are so sure with your maintenance, if you're so sure with your asset, why would you make it a condition that it will be on a food steward basis? If it's maintained, if it's good, of good quality, why would you make it as is from the pre-requirements? And anyone that had marked no on those pre-requirements was disqualified immediately. And that should be a major concern for for transformation. As Mesela or Sibongile in the township that is looking to branch into business, and you hear that the president says third-party access, you want to know more about it, but immediately there are barriers that are placed to ensure that you do not participate. So transformation, we need to transform the sector to transform fully the sector. So we need to change how it used to be, to give it a new life. We have to revitalize our railway sector. We have to transform our railway sector. We have to save our railway sector. In return, we will create massive jobs. We'll ensure that we respond to the call of the continent that South Africa shall be the champion for rail rolling stock manufacturing. Let us as South Africans work together and respond to that call. Africa, the continent, is waiting for us.
Yeah, may that call be heeded. So many experts saying this could be just such a game changer for the economy, for South Africa. Looking at what's happening at Transnet, that was Chief Executive Officer of the African Rail Industry Association, Mesela Nhlapo.